Welcome to Uncommon Analysis. If this is your first time here, thanks for stopping by. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends and neighbors. Thanks for spending some time with us today. And for our regular listeners, welcome back. We're always glad to see you again. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some new polling, or actually we're showing that Trump support is slipping. The honeymoon might be over, or at least that's what the media is spinning these as. And there have been a few polls that have come out. This is Friday morning. I'm recording this. I don't know if I'll release it today or Monday, so it might be a few days old by the time you get it. But the last day or two, the left-wing media has been all over. Trump's approval slipping. Oh, my God. He's losing support. Basically, it's the same old. 9.5 years of them bashing Trump. Anything they can say to try to spin that Trump's doing poorly or not doing well, they're going to do. Now, first of all, I'm going to say relax, because as usual, the press is not telling you the full story. And two, I'm going to give you some reasons why you should be a little dubious of these polls as well. So this story is on Politico. Warning Signs Trump and new polling, and they cite the two polls that came out. One by CNN, and the other one by Gallup, or the Post and Gallup. I think this is Post Gallup, right? Yeah. Showing Trump at 47 to 52 approval and 45-53 in Gallup. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Well, not really. This 47-53 poll was only 47-51, like in January. Well within the margin of error. Well within the margin of error to explain a 2-point shift in that poll. So it isn't like, oh my God, it's a drastic shift. And CNN poll, same deal. I don't remember what the which one, but it wasn't a huge move. But both of these polls, Gallup and CNN, Ipsos, or whoever it is that does theirs. Let's just go. Here's the CNN headline. Same thing. Americans are worried about Trump's push to expand power, and it cites the polling we just talked about. Right. So those are the three articles, and there's a lot more. If you've tuned into CNN or any of the talking head punditry on the mainstream media, they've been talking about this now for the last couple days. And I'm going to tell you, it's a bunch of bunk. Why am I going to tell you it's bunk here? Here is the actual poll of polls, right? This is from Real Clear Politics or Real Clear Polling. This is the aggregate of approval. Right now, Trump is up about 1.5 points overall. What they're citing is this Washington Post poll right here and this CNN poll, right? These are the two they're citing. But these are all the existing polls. And for the record, these guys were not very good. The ones that got him up were not very good in the presidential election. You don't believe me? Fine, let's look at it. Here are the last polls of the presidential election by these guys. All right? So, let's see. I don't know if Gallup's even in here. Let's see if Gallup's in here. Nope, that's not even Reuters. All right, Reuters Ipsos, right? Kamala up 2 at the end. Here's what the real election was. Trump won by 1.5. Okay, same thing with CNS. CNS, I think, was what, Maris? Same deal. They were off even more. 51-32. So as you can see, these polls have a history of not being accurate anyway when dealing with Trump. And this guy here, Atlas Intel, has been the most accurate for several cycles now. So as you can see, these polls are pulling. They didn't do as bad in 2024 as they did in 2020 and 2016. But as you can see, they still have a pretty high bias toward Democrats traditionally. And most of them were inside the margin of error this last election, so we'll give them that. But they clearly are biased one direction and this isn't like just in 2024. So this shows where he's still up. Now, is it possible that these polls are picking up something before the other guys? There's a trend. I have no doubt there are people far more vocal about Trump now that he's actually doing a lot of the stuff he said he was going to do. So the left is going to be way more vocal and way more response biased to respond to a poll. So that could be part of this. I also don't doubt there are people scared who I know people who work in social services. I have friends and family that work in that space. There are a lot of people who are scared that all they hear about is government, cutting cutting of government funding, canceling of contracts, laying off of people, early retirement being offered. That's all they hear, and they're worried how it's going to affect them. So I do not doubt there probably is a shift among those folks getting worried about what's happening to them, even though nothing Trump's done so far affects any of that. But it doesn't matter. It's the perception rather than reality. So is it possible these polls are catching a trend earlier than the other ones? Yeah, it's possible, but given their historical performance, I would not lend credence that the CNN poll is accurate. And I would not lend credence that the Gallup poll is accurate. Or the Washington Ipsos poll. I would not. They have a anti-Trump bias in their results every polling cycle. They have never been able to poll accurately with Trump. Not once. I'm not arguing their numbers or what they say they are, but I do not see Trump's base abandoning him. I don't see massive people shifting away from him. I would see there are some folks who are probably now scared that weren't before. And there's a whole lot on the left trying to drive that fear. If you watch an radical, active leftist right now, all they're doing is trying to fear-monger these people and tell them every lie they can think of because they want them to be against Trump, which they've been doing for 9.5 years. This is what they do. So we shall see. Are these guys picking up a trend early? Maybe. Maybe Trump is having a shift away from him. But I find this very dubious, especially when you look at the numbers. Like this is the Gallup one, I think, here, right? 51% disapprove of his immigration policies. Doubtful. And 51 disapprove of how he's handling the Palestinians. I find that questionable as well. So we shall see. But all in all, guys, Trump supporters, I would not be wringing my wrists or worrying about these polls. I think this is just them attempting to create reality. The same stuff they've been doing for 9.5 years. We know it. We've seen this before. We'll see it again. This is just how they operate. Now, if we come back in a month or 2 weeks and you see this shift, right? You see this overall shift because this is crazy. -8, -6, they're just outside, and like it's kind of like this. If I'm going to launch onto this one, like CNN wants to latch onto this one, right? I could just as easily latch onto this one. And I got news for you: Trafalgar traditionally has had a better performance record than CNN for sure, and Trafalgar even looks like an outlier, just the other direction. It's a little bit older. These polls go back in time, but even of the polls that have come out recently, right? You might see if you average these out, right? This 8's going to throw it, right? These 4s cancel each other out. These 3s cancel each other. You're +6 and -8. So if you just took everything, say from the 16th forward, it would be slightly negative, right? But this is only a couple weeks later. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight in this, guys. I wouldn't. If we come back here in 2 weeks and we see a shifting among these other polls, then maybe. But Rasmussen Porteous tends to lean right. So does the Economist. I don't know. I have to look up their record. Economist YouGov, because I can't remember they're off the top of my head. There you go. Yeah, they definitely have a left wing tint on average, or slight. They're definitely left wing on average as well. So this is a left winging guy on average. Quinnipiac is absolutely left wing. They're insanely left wing. This is the group that had, I think, Pennsylvania going Harris by a large margin. I mean, they're just crazy left on average. Sometimes they have some polls that aren't following that trend, but they're crazy. CNN is consistently overweights the left. Ipsos, Washington Post as well. But Rasmussen Porch tends to be a little bit to the right, but they've been more accurate on average in the last several cycles. YouGov has a left-wing tint on average, yet they still have Trump up 3, and their polling is just as recent. It's even more recent than CNN's. So I would say relax. I think this is them trying to create reality, and this is how they operate. Now, again, we come back in a few weeks or a few months and it's shifted, then we can start having a serious conversation. Right now, I think it's just them trying to using a narrative to try to create reality, guys. So we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, I hope you have a good one. Stay warm, and I am out.